You're listening to audio from the Decidedly podcast. For more information, find us on Instagram at Decidedly Podcast.
All right, it's another Make My Decision episode. So you've got some Reddit posts that we're going to sift through, and I'm going to control the lives of strangers on the internet by making their decision.
All right. We're gonna give it a shot. All right. My first question for you is from Broad Street Fighting: signing lease or building my own building soon. I started teaching Muay Thai and MMA in January 2020, subletting from a jiu-jitsu gym. We somehow survived COVID, and the program is now thriving with new students coming in, word of mouth, and organic traffic from our website. I have an opportunity to partner with another jiu-jitsu guy to open our own location in a different neighborhood in the city. He's coming in with enough money to secure the lease and pay the rent for a few months. In a way, this is a huge progress, but I'm still a bit hesitant to move forward. The rent is manageable. I'd be stuck paying it out of pocket for up to a year while we build a new business.
Well, okay. So you're paying rent out of pocket. That's how rent's paid typically. Like, keep going.
Right. Yeah. I don't know another way than out of pocket. So while there's risk, there's also room to make some serious money. What do I do? Risk it and move forward, or play it safe and continue to grow slowly yet gradually?
So first things first, I'm all for the risk. Right? If you are thinking about risk and saying, well, is it going to be worth it, or should I play it safe? Go for it. Life is short. You don't know how many days you got left. You want the freedom. You want to grow. You want the huge upside potential. Take a shot, man. Take a shot. Or, keep being in the back dusty corner of this other gym on the wrong side of town where you don't really want to be. If you think there's potential, which you do because you're considering it, take the risk. Life is about making the most out of the risk that you take. Second, it's going to be harder than you think. So I'm telling you to do it, and I'm also telling you it's going to be harder than you think, especially if you're moving across town. You might as well expect none of those students to come with you.
No, nobody's traveling down to follow you.
No. Now, I might do that. I would do that. If my jiu-jitsu gym moved across town, I would stick with them. But I'm loyal. I built a community. That's my coach. If he goes somewhere that is conceivable, he didn't move out of the state, I'm sticking with him. But I've also been training there for 7 years or something like that. So if you just started a few years ago, I wouldn't expect that type of loyalty out of your students. At the same time, you're capped where you are, and you're kind of given that vibe, hey, I've got a cap on the growth here. You're not capped when you're running your own business. You can make decisions on when to expand, when to hire new coaches to come in, when to increase the offerings on the class schedule. I say absolutely go for it.
Yeah, I think if they're the type of coach that is a superstar coach like you have, they're not asking this question, risk it or play it safe. They're like, hey, my guys are coming with me wherever I go. I think one of the things I would do is that you're going to tend to be one or the other. You're going to be a risk it type person like you, or you're going to lean into the play it safe type person. And I would begin to just get the other perspective from somebody who tends to look at another way, just so you are seeing the risks, that if you're not aware of them, if you're tempted to risk it, look at what options are out there. So I would just talk to somebody who would take an opposite approach, just so you can get a full range of the perspective.
You would talk to somebody who's going to talk you out of it?
I don't want them to talk me out of it, but I want them to see a different perspective. So if I'm a type of play it safe type person, I might come talk to somebody like you that might be encouraging. If I'm just a risk it person, I might talk to a play it safe type person who can help me discover what risks I might be otherwise missing.
I think on a decision this big, which is life changing and lifestyle changing, if you are inclined, if you've got an inkling, hey, I think I can make this work, you don't need any noise from the people that haven't been down that road. So if you're going to go ask for outside perspective, the outside perspective that you're getting needs to absolutely be with people who have been in the shoes of running their own business before and starting their own business. If you go talk to grandma,
I didn't say that.
but I want to be clear. when you talk about that, when you're using the opposite approach, I really think the only way that opposite approach works, which can be very valuable, is if the person can relate. They don't have to have been in the exact same shoes, like they have to have started a jiu-jitsu gym. And, they don't have to be the same industry, the same business, the same road you went down, but they do have to be able to relate. And if they can't relate at all, their perspective might not be what you need. Let's go to the next one.
Okay. So the next question is by Alien Engineer, and it's starting a business with a bunch of people, how not to get screwed over. My entire team was laid off at our company, and the company was dropping our clients. So we are going from our own LLC to our own company, doing the thing we did before. In my last company, my old business partner completely screwed me over when I exited the company. I was a guarantee on some accounts, and even though I was supposed to have been removed from the accounts, they never did. 6 years later.
That's tough.
Well, it sucks.
That's about the worst thing that could happen to you in a business partnership.
Yeah, it is. They closed the business and declared bankruptcy. I was left holding the bag for a ton of money. New people in this new venture, I've worked with them for a long time. They're great at their jobs, but there's zero business acumen. This makes me worried. Right now, I'd love to build another company, but I'm concerned about being business partners with them and then fighting them to do the right things. What would make sense is a low percentage of the company I can have maybe an advisor where I can participate and lend my skills, but not be on the hook again if the business nosedives.
So this is I'm glad we have this question immediately after the last question. I'm very much getting the vibe from this guy that he's not up for the risk. The other guy was like, hey, I'm up for the risk, but like, am I an idiot for taking it? This one is, well, they're kind of talking me into it, but I don't want to. That's the vibe I'm getting, is he doesn't really want to take the risk. And I'm not judging you. If I had gone through that type of experience, I might be a little bit averse as well.
He's a little gun shy.
But if you are timid, then it's not for you, right? If you are chomping at the bit, then sitting on the sideline is not for you. Meaning, if you have that gut instinct that I got to go get it, I got to take this opportunity, you're going to hate yourself for the rest of life if you don't do it. If you are tiptoeing your way into entrepreneurship, that's not going to work either. You got to be all in, all out. And this guy sounds like he's wanting to straddle the fence. So I would say get off the fence and be out. Second, if these people are not people that make you 100% confident that you can trust them as your business partner, then don't do it. And I don't know, based on the question, if you have concerns about them specifically. Would you hire them to work for you? Would you work for them? If so, then they're probably pretty solid people. There's a higher standard if they're going to be your business partner, for sure. But if there's something about the people, then run away, right? If they've given you any reason to believe that they lack integrity, run away from it entirely. If you're just concerned about the concept of business owners in general, then I think there are some ways to structure the organization that protects that, and to structure the job responsibilities that protects that. And if they're not up for that, if there's any shady dealings going on, then that gives you an opportunity to run as well.
Yeah, I think you'd want to have a meeting in the minds of these people and make sure that you're all on the same page with the purpose and why you're doing this business, what the values are, what you're wanting to do in terms of the vision for that business. Make sure you're all pulled in the same direction or rowing in the same direction. This is from user Substantial Lead 5153. What would you do in this situation? Hello, I've made a handmade jewelry business I started in 2009. I'm so burnt out that no matter what I try, I can't seem to gather energy for it. At one point, it made over $1 million in sales.
See, no matter what I try, I can't seem to gather the energy for it. This goes back to my last question, or my last answer. Then you got to find your way out. If what you say is what you mean, no matter what I try, then I'm not going to waste any time telling you to try new things. Because you said no matter what I try. So get the hell out. Sell, quit, whatever. The worst thing that you could be doing is running a business that you do not have the energy for. That's the most dangerous position you could be in as an entrepreneur. So we're now talking about how can you exit this business and get some money in your pocket along the way, but keep going and we'll see how likely that's.
Yeah, to see if you jumped on the right track here. At one point, it made over $1 million in sales a year. We're now closer to 200,000. I haven't advertised.
Okay, that's going to make that sale that I talked about a little bit tougher.
It sure is. I haven't advertised in years and barely post on social media. I thought about selling it, but it doesn't do much in sales, and going through and doing an inventory seems like an insurmountable task. Hold
on. You hate this business, and the one thing that you can do to get out from under it is to figure out how to get it some value and put it on the market, which is going to require a dang inventory, and you can't bring it
to do that.
Listen, okay, and I'm not even being funny. You have depression. You're depressed. This isn't even about this business anymore. This is just a you being depressed thing. So I need you to focus your energy on how to conquer that demon, because I don't even think the business is really it anymore. If you can't do the task that would allow you to get out of the business, at the same time the business itself is overwhelming, no, we're in a spiral.
Yeah, I would agree with that. That basically says I have so much inventory in raw goods. I think it's time for me to move on. Yeah, but no kidding. I'd love some advice on what you would do if you were in this situation. Thank you so much for your time and wisdom.
I would sell the business. And if you're not going to do an inventory, you don't even know what your business is. Yeah, you are going to have a tough time selling it. Now, if it was me, what I would do is I would have started a few years ago and determined that whether or not I wanted to sell or grow this business, because always those are your only two choices. You are either selling or you're growing. And if you don't have the energy to grow, you don't have the desire to grow, you don't have the time to grow, whatever it is, if growth is off the table, either necessarily or voluntarily, then selling is the only option. You can't just sit around. So if selling is the option, then you need to begin several years in advance in order to have a successful exit, right? No, you don't sell a business like you sell a house, right? And if you've ever sold a house, that even that can be a lengthy process. But selling a business is much more lengthy of a process because there are so many fewer buyers. So if you're trying to sell this business, you need to get a time machine, go back in the past, figure out the extent to which the what other comparable businesses are sold within this space, and what's the range of multiples in those businesses, right? Spend the next 2, 3, 5 years pushing yourself as far up on that range of multiples as possible, and then get out so that by the time you feel like you have to write this Reddit post when you're at your wit's end, you've got a buyer ready for you. If all of that seems too crazy, you can just put everything on Facebook Marketplace and close the doors tomorrow.
Yeah. Well, I think one of the things when you look at making a change like this and you look at leaving a business or retiring from a job, those questions become not so much what are you leaving from, but what are you going to? And it's going to be real important for this person to answer that second part of that question is what are they going to do then? I have talked to so many people who focus so much on what they're leaving that they forget that they need to be jumping to something. And they make 100%, the jump over there.
100%. And that's why I made the comment, you're depressed. You might not even leave this business. If you can figure out what is going on in your life that's causing you to feel this way, you might find out that leaving the business is not even a path you want to go down, right? If you're unable to find that next path forward in life, then you're right. Leaving is not necessarily going to solve the hole that's within you.
Yeah, I think you're right there. The next question I've got is from user the Big LT77. Is it easier to just buy a business? So we're on a theme here. Would it not be easier to just acquire a business that has a proven track record, pros and cons?
All right. So, yeah, it is easier if what you're talking about is getting sales, right? Would it be easier to get sales? Yeah, sure. Buy a business that already has sales. Is it easier to align the business culture with what your vision is for the company? No. It is much easier to do that if you start the company, right? Coming in as a new buyer, whether you've worked in the company or not, is very difficult to shift culture. Doesn't mean it's impossible though. I mean, look at Elon Musk and Twitter. He's really changed the culture of Twitter. If you talk to Twitter employees, see how they're feeling. It took radical change, and some of that is because he has the resources of a billionaire, which you don't if you're writing this question on Reddit. So I think it depends on what you mean by easier. If you're talking about, getting things up and running, a business that's already up and running and has documented processes and has already made good hiring decisions and already has a name in the marketplace and already has a pipeline of prospects and potential, all of that. Yeah, for sure. But shifting that big ship, getting it to turn to where you actually want it to go, that's much harder. And I know that you do want to do that, because if you don't want to do that, if you don't want to steer that big ship in a different direction other than where it's headed, then why did you buy the business anyway? The only reason that you should buy a business is because you see an opportunity to move in a different direction that the previous owner didn't see or didn't have the capacity to continue to steer, or for whatever reason. There's an opportunity. If there's no opportunity, you're just going to step in and do the same old that the old owner was doing. That's probably not going to go well. So I think it is all about picking your pain. Both routes are hard. It just depends on where you want to suffer.
So this is from Interesting Ship 4717. Stay at home with kids or preschool? I was struggling to decide. We had twins right before the pandemic, and they're now almost 4. My husband and I were lucky and got to go work from home.
I think if you have kids, you shouldn't be going to preschool anymore.
What do you mean?
If you have kids, you shouldn't be attending preschool.
I think she's saying that the kids are in preschool, not her. My husband and I were lucky we got to work from home while we watched our kids and avoided childcare cost. Now I'm getting overwhelmed. My husband is the breadwinner, but I also work part-time from home, run a photography business part-time as well. The income from both jobs are less than my husband makes.
Okay, I'm going to take a guess that this really isn't actually about the money. If she's working 2 jobs and still earning less than husband's making, it's very likely that daycare costs are going to be the exact same as what her income is, if not more.
Yeah, well, that's I think where this is going. I find that if I put my energy into the jobs, my kids are watching TV all day and I'm not keeping them entertained and occupied throughout the day. If I focus on the kids, I do poorly at my jobs. The cost of daycare is about equal to my part-time job. There it is. Without my current income, we still live comfortably, but we would still need...
All right, stop right there. Without my current income, we still live comfortably? This sounds like a very easy decision to me, which is don't go to work. If you don't even need the income that you're getting now, then spend that time and energy raising your kids. Nothing's going to be more rewarding than that. Now, hey, listen, I don't have kids.
It depends on the kids.
Depends on how good of a job you do, I guess.
I guess.
Anyone can go replace you at this job. And I hate to say it, but if you're working 2 of them and it's still not enough to move the needle on the household budget, then probably everyone can replace you at these jobs. But nobody can replace you at home. Nobody can replace you as the role of mother in your children's lives. That's a lot more rewarding, fulfilling, impactful, and needed in our world. So,
yeah, I think, and I'm biased because that's kind of how we did when, we had kids in the house. All of the research that I looked at is the kids do better in outcome in terms of future endeavors in life with a parent at home. It's a struggle. So the con is the financial. I can't give them that one.
No, she just said without my current income, we still live comfortably.
No, it sounds like in her situation, it's a push, which takes the financial, aspect out of it. I think when you look at this, you have to say, well, what am I basing this decision upon? Is this a money decision? Is this a principles and, alignment decision? Is what's best for the kids decision? What are you making this decision based upon? And I hear a lot of parents focus on the finance part of it and just say, well, if if this person works, we can have this much extra, or we can't afford it, not for her not to work or him not to work, whatever it is. So I think that's how I'd frame it up. Okay, I have another question for you from username Guitar Guy 5147. Should I quit my job for a job that pays better? I don't know if I even need to read the rest of this, but here we go.
Yeah, I'm definitely forming an opinion.
So I have an interview tomorrow for a job that pays slightly better, $4 an hour more than my current job. It would also be less physically demanding.
Okay, so we have two good reasons to leave the job, because here's the key. If you're working hourly, then loyalty to your employer doesn't matter at all.
No, it doesn't. Yeah. Here's more information.
The physical aid demanding thing is definitely this as well.
This probably gives you a sense of what the baseline wage was in this $4 an hour % increase. You could probably do the math in your head. I currently work at a fast food place, so work can be exhausting. However, the people I work with are great. My boss is a really good dude. Scheduling is very random though, whereas the new job would be standard 8 to 5 weekdays only, which would be awesome.
Yeah. So I made the joke about the hourly wage. If you're getting hourly pay, it doesn't matter what your loyalty to your employer is. And that's funny, haha, but true. That's not the case. If you are a highly compensated employee and you're bopping around, I think you're going to get negative, you're going to face negative repercussions later on in your career if you're not sticking it through with one team for a long period. If you're just moving around as a highly compensated employee trying to find the best next deal, I don't think that's going to work out very well for you. If you're low on the totem pole, yeah, go for it. I'm all for making the change to get a huge increase in pay. You should do it.
Yeah, I think with this person, based on what I can only assume is the wage base based on where they're working, this is probably a 20% increase in compensation for a stability of the work life and less physically exhausting. I'm not sure what.
Yeah, I have no idea why you are asking this question. You should obviously switch jobs, but for business owners, this is really important insight, right? Because that mindset exists all across the pay scale, right? That mindset exists at the low end of the pay scale and the high end of the pay scale of, I'm just going to find the next best thing. Whoever's willing to pay me more, I'm going to go that way. That exists, although it is a minority. All of the research shows that people rarely leave because you don't pay them enough. Now, that's not an excuse to underpay your employees in my mind. But know that people want to stay, even if they're getting mistreated and they're in a physically demanded role and they're not getting paid a lot, and they could dramatically increase their pay very easily by going and finding another option. People, I think, really do want to stay loyal. So you've got to ask, if you have high turnover, and what the hell are we doing here? We've got a real problem.
Yeah. I think you're right. We looked at hiring a guy some years ago and had the credentials, had the background, and so we were sort of leaning towards hiring it. And then I started doing the math. I'm like, well, this guy in the past, 15 years has changed jobs at like 5 employers. I don't want to be the 6th. And so it looked like at some point you've got to point to this person and go, there's something about this person that is causing their employment not to work out. But I think you raise an interesting point.
I'm going to assume if I see crap like that you're getting
fired.
The person. No, I'm assuming you're getting fired. I don't care, because here's the thing as well that business owners need to understand. A lot of business owners, if you call up the guy's old employer and you say, hey, how was Johnny working for you a few years ago? They will not tell you they fired him. They will not tell you he stole money from them. They won't tell you shit. They will just, whatever.
Well,
am I wrong?
No, you're not.
Have you ever had another business owner tell you, stay away from that dude?
We actually did that one time.
But you never had anyone do it to you?
No, I never had anybody do it.
Exactly.
We actually did that. There's this guy that left, and the new people called us and they said, hey, what do you think about this person? And they were people we knew, so they felt comfortable calling us. We felt comfortable telling. We're like, oh, you should not hire this person. And we didn't go into the reasons why. We're just like, it's probably not a good fit. We probably wouldn't.
What was the reason?
They were an underperformer. They were just not.
Okay, but was it an integrity issue, or were they just not good at their job?
They were just not good at their job. And so we advised them, I don't want to hire this person. And they did anyway. And within 2 years, they had let that person go. And we're like, we see them all the time. We're like, we told you. But I think one of the things we look at is as business owners.
What are you doing hiring someone?
I don't know why.
If I make the call and they say don't do it, why the hell did you make the call?
I don't know. We kind of shook our heads. We didn't know what.
Why did you call me?
Yeah.
It's like if a client calls you and says, hey, should we buy the second house? You go, no.
And then they buy it.
And they're like, well, we went ahead and bought the house.
I don't know what you were thinking.
All right, let's hit the next one.
This is from It's Sock Gavin. I don't know. God, I'm going to
get you.
I hate internet names.
I'm going to get you a plaque. Worst username reader of all time. You never have gotten one. You've never confidently said a username.
It's Sock Gavin. I don't know what. I don't know how to better pronounce that.
It doesn't matter.
Ex-girlfriend I dated for 3 years texted me. Should I respond?
No.
So
no. Done.
You don't even want to hear this?
I don't need to hear the rest. No.
You're not going to.
No. Done.
Why?
There is nothing for you to talk about. If you don't have kids with this woman, there's absolutely nothing for you to talk about. Move on. That's her fault. If y'all broke up for a reason, there is nothing for you to talk about. You shouldn't have kids with an ex-girlfriend, number one. So therefore, if you do, you screwed up beforehand. You shouldn't have shared money or property or anything like that with an ex-girlfriend, number two. So there's no reason to talk there, right? There's nothing for you to talk about. Do not read the rest.
All right, I'm not going to read the rest. You're pretty hard. Or you're very definitive on this.
There's nothing to talk about. There is nothing to talk about. If you had a relationship and the purpose of that relationship is to determine if you're going to get married, you made the decision, okay, hey, we're not going to get married for whatever reason. You don't need to talk again. You don't.
All right.
And there, you might say, Sanger, this reason, that reason, the other thing, but in this case, here's the thing. If that person to you in your mind is still your ex-girlfriend, meaning it wasn't like the girl that you took to the dance in 7th grade.
Right.
It was a meaningful relationship for a year, 2 years, 3 years, a big thing in your life.
Right.
And that's who she is to you, is the person who used to be in that very important role, and now she isn't. And you don't refer to her as just a friend, someone I used to know, someone I went to school with, ex-girlfriend. That means there's nothing to talk about.
Yeah, it says they dated for 3 years.
Yeah, there's nothing. Yeah, I didn't want to know because it doesn't matter.
No, I can't help but tell you all this stuff. Yeah. So anyway, you want the next one?
Yeah.
This is from Tejo 310. Surprise visit to my boyfriend.
Okay, don't do that one either. I dated a girl. I dated a girl who lived in another state, and she would like surprise visit me.
Oh,
it was the worst.
That sounds miserable.
This is in college, and she'd just show up, and I would be thinking, because I like to spend time alone, more introverted.
Yeah,
and it'd be like Friday, classes are over. Maybe I had like a little, and then, I would always be hanging out with a friend because that's how she coordinated it. She needed to know where I was.
Oh, right.
Right. And so I'm doing what I think is my one social thing for the weekend.
Right.
So I've geared up to like have dinner with my friend, and I'm thinking, all right, just one more social interaction and I get to go, do my thing
then I can go lounge
for a couple days. And then she'd roll up. And that means I'm spending almost every minute with this person. Like, no. Give me a heads up.
Yeah, all right. You don't even want to hear the question then.
I mean, this one, all
right.
I will say there is more nuance with this than the previous one, which has zero nuance at all, period.
All right. I think you may land on the same spot, but here we go. We haven't seen each other for about 2 months, and I decided to fly there a bit suddenly. I'd been feeling quite down on that day, and we had a small issue, so I decided I would go.
Oh, you picked the wrong reason to go, too. Oh, this is a strikeout. This is not going to go well.
No, it doesn't sound like it's going in the right direction. I just decided I would go, not only for him, but actually maybe mostly for myself. I'm feeling very lonely. I want to see my friends and my mom. He's very busy and has anxiety, and his anxiety has been bad, so I don't know if I should surprise him. I'm not relying on him to suddenly make time for me.
Unrelated note. Okay. This is just a lesson for women, is don't date men whose anxiety is causing problems in your relationship. A man should be able to handle that crap.
Oh, okay.
You should, if you have my man's anxiety, my boyfriend's just really anxious. My husband's really anxious. Have you ever heard someone say, well, daddy's really anxious today?
You need
to get that, fellas. You need to get that one squared away. Because the only women that are going to deal with it are women who are equally anxious, are going to fly across the country because she got like a vaguely uncomfortable text that morning.
You know what I also love is that Morgan, our producer, just put on the screen in front of me, amen, preach on.
Yeah, you know what? Because she's got a badass husband and she's a super cool chick.
Yeah.
So they got an awesome relationship. And she wouldn't put up with that nonsense at all.
No, she would not. Anyway, so the guy has anxiety. I'd like to surprise him, and if he has time, great. If he doesn't at all, that's okay. Is this a good idea? I've already booked the tickets. I'm flying.
Oh,
I've already booked the tickets. I'm flying there next Thursday.
Here's the thing.
I still have a few days to tell him. Should I tell him?
Don't go. Don't tell him, and don't go. Scratch the whole deal. This proves my point that she's dealing with anxiety. And you know, I'm making fun of you a little bit, but my heart goes out to you. It's not fun. Dealing with that must be difficult. But that's where my focus needs to be if I'm in your shoes, is how can I conquer this? Because if I can't conquer this, it's going to be difficult for me to show up for this person. If he is dealing with anxiety, there's two things. One, he's lying to you. He don't have anxiety. He just don't want to talk to you. I'm anxious. So I need to go lay down and take a nap. Or he's playing Xbox. Second is he's just a weak man and you need to move on. And I think that happens a lot. This is my observation. I'm no psychologist, I'm no counselor, but I do interact with married couples a lot. As a professional, anxious men make anxious women. It doesn't mean every anxious woman is with an anxious man, but an anxious man makes a woman more anxious, and a calm, steady man makes a woman more calm and steady. So if that's the kind of guy you got, getting rid of him might make you become not the person who is doing this right now.
Yeah.
As well.
All right, you ready for this will be the last one?
Yeah.
All right, this is from Chunky Dumb.
I think you got that one right.
I did. This was an easy one.
Nailed it.
I'm just going to read. I think it sums it up in the title of this question. I'm just going to read you the question and without any of the details. My London drama school has offered us the chance to study in the U.S. for a month, but it would destroy my savings. Should I go?
Live in London for a month, but destroy my savings?
Yeah. No, live in the U.S. for a month, destroy my savings.
She's from London? Okay. This one is all about how old you are. Do you?
You want to know?
I do. Because
she's 87.
You're lying.
she's 23. What did you think? She's 23.
No, 23. You're almost too old for that crap. You really are. And I would say that once you get past college, I'm not saying almost. Maybe
no, she's in college.
But here's the thing: if you're in college, you can do that. If you're out of college, you can't do that.
Right. She's in college.
So if you want to do it and it destroys your savings, dude, you're in college. Who cares? Who cares about money in college? As long as you're not racking up credit card debt, you're not getting student loans for some stupid, useless degree. If you're not doing those things, who cares if you live in paycheck to paycheck? Who cares if you have $5 in your checking account? It doesn't matter. Okay. Take the chance, take the risk, go travel, go do whatever it is. But as long as you're avoiding the major pitfalls, credit card and student loan debt, you can do that. Yeah, who cares? Now, if you're 40, we need to have another conversation.
That's
all right.
Different deal.
We made your decisions. If you'd like us to make your decision for you live on the podcast, I don't know why I said live. We don't do this live. If you'd like us to make your decisions on the podcast, slightly edited, then you can send it to us, through Instagram, and message us on Instagram and we'll do it.
Are you going to give the Instagram?
It's at Decidedly Podcast.
That would be helpful. Yeah, at Decidedly Podcast.
Or go to the show notes and check it out there.
You just made a great decision to listen to this episode of Decidedly. Make another great decision and leave us a 5-star review wherever you listen to podcasts. We appreciate your support. It helps others find our community and defeat bad decision-making in their own lives. For more daily decision-making insights, check us out at decidedlypodcast.com and on Facebook and Instagram at Decidedly Podcast. Thanks again for listening. I'm Sanger Smith, and this is Decidedly.
Insights, advice, and comments provided by SHAWN Smith, Sanger Smith, and speakers identified as part of the Decidedly podcast should not be considered recommendations. Speakers not identified as members of Decidedly are expressing their opinion, and their statements should not be construed as reflecting the views of the Decidedly team. This podcast is produced solely for informational purposes, not personalized advice.